All right, welcome everybody. This is Midwest Elevation's weekly series, Conversations to Raise the Collective Conscious. We are so happy you are joining us today. We have a beautiful guest, Jennifer Hart, today. I've known Jennifer for, well, we met in the spring, last spring. Instant soul sisters, I would say. So let me introduce you to her before we get to our conversation about finding your authentic self, which is always a journey. We are continuing on. So Jennifer Hart is a lifelong learner who is passionate about spirituality and dedicated to transformation and personal development. Jennifer's biggest accomplishment was when she left the corporate world as an aerospace quality assurance auditor and sold all her stuff to travel around the world with no plan, limits, or expectations. This is bravery, my friends. She is now an entrepreneur whose calling and mission it is to connect people and information to each other is to connect people and information to each other, to inspire and empower people to learn, grow, heal, achieve, and help each other and humankind for the highest good, which is why she is here with me today, because we share a lot of those visions. So welcome, welcome. We are here to elevate, right, everybody, ourselves, doing the inner work, finding our authentic selves, and lifting the world as a whole. So I am so glad you are here with me today. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I love you. Thank you for having me. You nailed it when you said soul sisters. Like, absolutely. We're talking about how when we met, it's just those instant connection when you feel like you really know each other for a long time. And you and I personally have a lot in common. We are both on the same mission and path, and we're just leading it in different ways. So it's so great to be collaborating with other like-minded people and women that are
Yes.
doing the same thing, because this is so needed in the world. Like, it was needed before anything of 2020, but it's really
Right.
needed now in 2020, right?
It is
Am I
really
right?
yes, indeed. In fact, I may or may not have been playing Beyonce's "Who Runs the World" this morning, just as a
I love it.
motivator.
Getting pumped up.
Girls, yes, exactly. Okay, so there's a lot of things we can talk about today. And we could probably talk for hours, but we are going to focus ourselves today on finding your authentic self, the connections that help us figure those things out. And maybe we start with what if you don't know what you don't know? Like, what is an authentic self?
That is a
Who am I?
great question. Well, and it's crazy because, I'll be honest, I never really had heard of the word authentic. And when I first heard it, I was like, what does this mean? Like, I had to look it up, and I was hearing it everywhere. As soon as I stepped into the world of spirituality and self-growth and development, I kept hearing authentic self, authentic self. So it's only in hindsight that I'm able to see that I started by making a bucket list of things I wanted to do. And that took me down this path. And we can talk more about that in a little bit. But I found out that it was actually a path of self discovery, and that I didn't know who I truly was.
Mm.
Because when we're growing up, we're influenced by so many things, by our peers, our teachers, our doctors, our parents, family members, you name it. They play an influence in your life of your thoughts, your beliefs, your patterns, your habits, and everything. And so I thought I knew who I was. But as I went on this journey, I realized that I did not. And your authentic self is who you are at your core, that never changes. It's like your soul. It is being connected to your soul and being who you truly are in spite of everything that you've learned. So
Mm.
when you start peeling back the onion layer and you're taking it off and you're taking it off, you're getting closer and closer to your authentic self.
I love that. And I love that as soon as you said the onion layers, I of course think of Shrek and the ogre, but ogres are like onions. Um, but that's the thing. It's like peeling off the layers of all those people and experiences that have influenced you. And you certainly learn very valuable lessons from
Yeah.
all of those people and experiences. But when you are tapped into who you are at the core, you have a better understanding of what's yours to keep and what you don't need, which can be different over time too.
Absolutely. And the other thing I want to add to that is the happiness. So we see so much anxiety and depression, and a lot of that is because, in my opinion, and I can only speak from my opinion, and everybody should know that my opinion is only from my life experiences. There is a filter, and you have to hear what I say and filter it for yourself. Take what works, and what doesn't, you throw it away. Because I don't want to be the person that's
Yeah.
negatively influencing you. Just kidding. But in my opinion, not being our authentic selves causes that anxiety. Not causes, can cause, let's say can cause, that's a
Right.
better word to use, can cause that anxiety and depression because there's something in you screaming like, I'm not happy, I'm not happy, hello, I really want to do this. But
Mm.
we, as humans and as Americans especially, I feel like we are built to people please. And so that's another onion layer that you have to take,
Especially women.
especially women. I 100% agree with that. It's always like, well, you need to share and you need to do this. And what does that person want? Well, that's rude. Like, well, what if that's my truth? And it's been a long journey. It's been an amazing journey. I'm still on this journey every day,
Yes.
working on these things. But I was just today making a list of like, what are some significant lessons that I've learned in life and how did they come about? And that's kind of where I look at the different connections that I had. So when I made this bucket list, I started doing these things. I always do this because it was like a timeline.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
started doing these things. And my favorite story is that I put on my bucket list, I wanted to go speed dating. So I ended up moving to San Diego, which was on my bucket list too. And I signed up to go speed dating and I sit down with this guy. And most of the conversations are like, okay, well, what area do you live in? What do you like to do on the weekends? What do you do for work? They're all very high level surface questions.
Sure.
I
Right.
sit down with him and he's like, if time and money were no object, what would you be doing with your life? And I was like, whoa, Nelly. I don't know. And I was like, I don't know. And I said an answer. I was like, I think I would open a no kill animal shelter and I would take in all the unwanted animals, like 'cause I love animals.
Yeah.
And I remember walking home that night to the car, walking to the car with my friend, and I told her what happened. And I said, oh my gosh, that was like this huge aha moment for me. I was like, I don't even know myself. Like, I don't even know who I am. What would I want to
What
do?
do I want to do?
Yeah, because I was always told go to college, then get married. Didn't happen for me yet. Get a job, maybe some job that has a good pension and a 401k plan that pays you a lot of
Right.
money. So
Stability.
I followed along the steps that I was supposed to, but I was so unhappy. I was missing fulfillment. I can
Mm.
now put a name on it. I was not fulfilled. Great, sure, I made a lot of money, and that allowed me to do a lot of things. And I trust that I was meant to be the places that I was meant to be, but I was not fulfilled. And that was because I was not connected to my purpose, my authentic self, and to, yeah, my purpose and my authentic self. I'm going to leave it at that.
So once you get to this point where you're like, that big aha moment and you're like, yeah, okay, what do I want to do? How did you figure it out for you?
Well, it's funny because the whole bucket list kind of became my life's motto and my mentality. So everything was like, let me make a list about it. So when I moved to San Diego, I made a new bucket list of things I wanted to do in San Diego. And in doing a
This is
bucket list
this
thing,
is sorry to interrupt you, but this is also why we're friends, because we like to make lists.
I love lists. Oh my gosh, I got lists everywhere around me right now. So yeah, so I make a list for everything and it's so easy to be like, okay, new things I want to try. I want to go to the nude beach in San Diego. And then I could just check it off. I want to throw in something super fun. And I did that before I left. And it's like all of these experiences. And the fun part about it is you get to try new things and you could find people to do it with you. That's one thing that I did is I always shared my list and I said, who wants to do this with me? Because it's fun to do things on your own and you definitely do learn a lot. There's pros and cons, but it's even more fun if you bring the people with you.
Yeah.
And so a couple of us went to the nude beach together in San Diego. And that was something we did. And then I applied it to dating too. I was like, okay, I need to practice on having more fun, being more my feminine energy, which I did not know was called that then. so in layman's terms would be receiving, because I'm a
Yeah.
take control type of person. So, not going to grab the check and let a guy grab it and
Mm.
treat me to dinner because he asked me on a date. And I made myself go on like 21st dates or something like that, we'll call it. So I just said the challenge is I'm going to just try new things, have fun, and be in receiving mode. And I just said yes to all the dates that came up on my little people that I matched with on my online thing. And so the point is, I would make a list of things and it seemed easier to check it off. And it's like a muscle. The more that you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
So I still do it now, and I'm always like, okay, what's something I haven't done yet? So this week I'm going to go to the drive-in theater. That's been on my list, the drive-in movies. Something so simple, but I've never done it. And
Right.
there's always something scary when you haven't done something for the first time because you're foreign. You're like, well, how does it work? Like, do I have to get tickets in advance? Do I bring my own food? What do they have to eat? How does it work when I get there? Do I get to pick a spot? And there's all these
Yeah. Yeah.
unknowns.
All those things.
Yeah. And it sounds so simple, but at the same time, you just learn so much. And then eventually it led me to sell all my stuff and travel around the world by myself,
No, you're
which was
amazing.
crazy.
I want to get to that story in a second. But I want to reiterate what you said, because you said three things, right? Try new things, have fun, and be open to receive.
Yeah.
So, which a lot of those things are that being open to what is available to you.
Yeah.
And first it's coming from you, right? That curiosity, trying new things. Well, I'm curious about this. So even though you have a million questions about the drive-in, you're going to remain open to whatever the experience is.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you said curiosity, because I'm sitting here going like, that's one of my biggest words that I need to use. So thank you for bringing it up. Is
You're
it just being curious about new things? And then start by writing it down. I'm curious about these things, write them all down. And then you say, okay, now maybe I could do one this week. Like, and some of my things on my list were simple, like speed dating. Obviously, where I live now, it's not as prominent. I created speed dating where I live now. But when I was in San Diego, speed dating was everywhere. All I had to do was buy a ticket. And oh my gosh, it changed my life. Like, who would have thought? And then there's
right.
other things that I did. I wanted to participate in a flash mob. And so I did that. I actually created a flash mob for my birthday. And then when I went to San Diego, I found one to participate in. And it was so fun.
That's so cool.
It is like, and I love to watch the video. And me and my friend did it together. So I shared with her my list, and she's like, I found a flash mob for us to attend. So it's as easy as that. It's just being curious. Curious paired with action.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love it.
Me too. Thanks.
I love it. Yeah. That's amazing. So I do want to, okay, so like, how do you know? Like the part, I guess, I don't know how well we'll be able to speak to this, but this is just what's coming up right now, right? So we're going to have our authentic interview.
Yes, I love it.
Right? Like, I look around and see all sorts of things that like are interesting to me, or like sometimes I'm like over curious about, oh, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could do that. Maybe I could do that. And then I hit the overwhelm.
Yeah.
So then like, how do you choose, or how do you know like which curiosity is coming from that authentic place and not just like everybody over there was doing it?
I think by doing it. You know what I mean? I think that's a great question. I struggle with the same. I get really excited about all these things. I'm like, I want to try it all and learn it all. Obviously there's timelines for everything. You could, depending on what's on your list, that obviously first makes the difference of
Sure.
it. If it's speed dating, that's like a one night, it's an evening, one time thing. If it's learning a new language, that's going to be a little bit more involved on your list. And I'd say that anything that comes to your mind. So this is how I realized what my soul's calling was. It's these little like soul whispers, or callings, as I like to call them. Callings are the ones, so there is a difference. Soul whispers are just like things you're curious about, like that sounds cool, I want to do that. Things that you think about or you just have any interest or desire in. It's as simple as that. And I think we think it's this big thing like, oh my gosh, it has to be this big like thing that has to happen for me to find my authentic self and my soul's purpose and this, but it's like all of those little things add up. And it might be the experience. So maybe it wasn't speed dating, it was who I met at speed dating and
Ah,
that I was asked. And that's where it comes together with those signs and the synchronicities. And if you're familiar with soul contracts, like soul contracts can be so small. And that's what people don't realize. I could be sitting on the subway next to someone and they're reading a book, and I was like, oh, that looks like a great book. Then they tell me, oh, it's really good, you should read it. So then I write it on my list. That could be like fulfilling a soul contract. I know I'm going off another topic, but
yeah, no, but it is. But like, I like how you call them soul whispers. They're like these gentle nudges, and
yeah,
then it might not. And like you said, it might not be. It wasn't that speed dating was this like ultimate thing you needed to do because you were going to meet the man of your dreams.
right. It
But
did
what it
not.
did is open up a whole different, way of thinking about your life.
Absolutely. It was the experience. And I did actually meet a guy and we dated for a long time and he was amazing. So that was cool too. But like had that never happened, my life was changed forever off of just this small, significant, like insignificant actually event, which ended up being very significant. So I think all of the curiosities are important. And I think as far as timing goes, that's where like those signs and synchronicities come in.
Hmm.
So for me, I take it as a sign from the universe. If I hear a book like mentioned, okay, here's the perfect example. A Return to Love. I have it over, it's right
Oh
there.
yes, I've read that book.
A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. I kid you not, 3 times in 24 hours, this book came across my radar. I read an article about it. I talked to a friend who recommended it, and I can't remember the third one. I have a blog about it. And I was like, okay, I hear you, universe. I need to read this. And that's how I know when it's the right time to do the right thing. And I just made the list and I shared it with people. And my friend in San Diego, she called me. She found the flash mob. I had no idea. She was like, hey, let's do it. So it's like that opportunity presented itself.
Right, right. You just put it out there and then
It's like when I write things down, they just happen. It's crazy.
I love
I
it.
don't
It's a
know.
magic pen.
It is a magic pen and paper.
Is there a movie about that or a story? I don't know, somewhere. Um, Speaking of magic pens, regular, just a
I
regular.
know mine's like a dollar store pen, but I love
Um, I just, uh, I've lived my life similarly, but it always comes sort of in phases or in spurts where probably because I'm not listening or paying attention, right? I find the synchronicities or the connections happening, more frequently or easily um, when I'm feeling more connected
yeah.
to myself or understanding. And I think that's probably just an awareness. Like if when I'm in a state of feeling anxious or um then I'm up here in my head
Yeah.
and I'm not really paying attention to the things that are being presented to me. I'm not open to it. And so I think that plays a big role. um as you said at the beginning, it's not that it's the cause of the anxiety and the depression or whatever, but being in that state, which is going to ebb and flow and come and go for everybody, different stages in life and um, different issues. But if you can, do the work to get yourself back to that internal knowing, um, then you just look at the world. Your mind is quieter and you can see, and that receiving, you're open to
Hmm.
whatever is there. um
Yeah, I like what you said about the connection with yourself. So that's super important. And it also is, if you believe it, and if you don't, that's okay too. It's a connection with source. Like, how do you tap in? And I want to touch on this because you know, a lot of people are religious and they go to church and that's how they tap in and they pray. And that was never, ever my journey. It never felt right for me. And it wasn't until I attended a Hay House conference and I heard about, you know, like we're souls that come down to earth to learn and have these experiences and complete missions and stuff. And that just felt like home for me.
Mm.
And it's like I don't need to do anything spectacular. We hear about meditation and that's great, but that doesn't work for everybody and that's okay. What works for me is I really get into a meditative state when I'm doing small things like walking and listening to music, driving and listening to music,
Yeah.
shower in the shower. Oh my gosh, I
Oh
get
my God, the best ideas come in the shower.
so much stuff. And it's like, you know, because in the shower you're just thinking about showering, like let me wash my hair and whatever else, and it's kind of like I go into this meditative state. So meditation is a form, but there's so many forms of meditation, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And it's quieting yourself and maybe it's self-care, maybe it's taking a bath, but that goes back again to connecting with yourself
Mhm.
and in a sense like with source, you know, whatever it is. I
Absolutely.
call it the universe.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
it has all sorts of names. Well, and that inner, like that we call it the higher self or whatever, that is connected to source, um, but probably really no different. I actually was just on a call yesterday um, doing a meditation. John Rhodes, who has been on the show before, and he was doing a teaching about polarity, and he did a meditation where you connect with your hara, which is like, in the center, where, essentially like where your deepest creation
mm,
kind of exists, where that
yeah.
line, and for women it's like right on top of the uterus, so hello, duh. Massive creation.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so it's like that idea that it's not that there's source, but that we're source,
Hmm.
because it's not disconnected, and it's never disconnected. It's just we, like, are, up here, aren't connecting to it in a sense.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, super interesting.
That's why it's
Um,
important for us to be connected to our most authentic self, because that's who we are at our core. That's what brings us joy when you're doing the things that you absolutely love. And that's why it's so important to find out who your authentic self is. And like, if you're anything like me, I had no idea. And so it's like, how do you call to people that don't even know that they don't know, which started off the whole conversation.
right.
That's why I'm like, I gotta write a book about this. You know, my journey's been amazing and I want to share it with other people. So
Absolutely. I'm so excited for your book. I know you've been working on it, and it's due to come out soon.
December.
December. That's soon.
I know.
I'm so
So
excited.
excited. No,
Well,
it's really exciting.
well, tell us a little bit about it. Like, I know we've kind of talked through some of the things we've talked about
Yeah.
are hinting at what's in that book, but
Absolutely. I mean, it's everything we talked about. It starts off, so I have a couple of books in my series that are already in mind. The first one is Connected: How to Find and Be Your Authentic Self. And it's going to just talk about my bucket list and the different experiences that I've gone, how that affected me, and the lessons that I learned. So it's going to be geared towards someone that maybe isn't connected with their authentic self. And here's the thing: I'm very connected with my authentic self, but I still have so much to unlearn and relearn. So, although
absolutely.
I've been on this journey for almost 10 years now, I and it's still a journey. So, it's
It's
never ending.
continuous. Yeah.
So, and I'd say it's going to be for people who you'll know it's for you if you have any type of piece of your life that you feel unfulfilled, whether it's your relationship or your health or your finances or whatever the case may be, because you can apply it to any way. And so I just want to give people a little guidebook of what worked for me. And it was a simple, fun way. I got to live, and it was like, not only was I finding my authentic self, but I was just freaking living life. Like I
Right.
was just doing, like I've done more things that people are like, wow, I would never do that, or I would never think to do that. And then eventually I will get to the story of how I sold all of my stuff and traveled around the world, because that just blows people's minds. And that will be the next book.
I love it.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about it.
Cliffhanger.
I know. Well, I know. I gotta start somewhere, because that one is more about the magic and the miracles of the universe. So it's how to tap into that. And my travels, which I'll just cliffhang it right now, was so magical and synchronistic. And that's where I really tapped into the synchronicities and started to be able to look back and go, oh, those were the signs, the synchronicities that happened for it. When you trust the universe and you have something that you really want, like Paulo Coelho says, all of the universe will conspire to help you achieve it. And I'm living proof of that. So I'm super excited.
I love that quote. It's beautiful.
Me too.
Well, I will definitely put the link down there in the comment section and in.
Yeah, thank you. I saw you put my link in there. If anybody wants to connect, I have a little link where you can just hop on my email list, and I will keep you posted when the book's coming out and whatever other crazy things I'm up to. I'm going to have Renee on my video show, and it's always going to be a good time. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it. So
absolutely. This is so much fun, and we can talk for hours. Maybe we'll do this. Well, we'll do it again on your show, but
yes.
We'll definitely, when the book comes out too, we'll do a little pop-up.
Oh, that'd be so fun. Let's do it. Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for everybody watching. Be well. We'll see you next week.
Woohoo!